March 26th, 2024. It was a very cold night to be working on the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, made even colder by the breeze coming off the freezing water below. A construction crew was on the midnight shift when a cargo ship the size of 3 football fields, weighing half the Statue of Liberty, crashed into a pier, collapsing the bridge, throwing all 8 workers into the frigid waters below. All 8 men had immigrated to the United States. The 6 who died were from Guatemala and Honduras, El Salvador, and Mexico. They were fathers and husbands. One had 2 kids in elementary school. Another had a teenage son and a 5-year-old daughter. Their tragic loss of life spotlighted a feature of America. Immigrants are so often on the front lines of our nation's success, keeping our lights on and our hospitals running, fixing our infrastructure, and in this case, repairing our roads at 1 a.m. They reflect something unique to the U.S. While we, like other nations, have the drive, the grit, the spirit from those born in our country to innovate, grow, and achieve great things, we also have another gift, something that no other nation has on the scale that we do, a superpower, unique to our nation's DNA and central to the notion of the American dream. Our superpower, as a superpower, is immigration. People want to come here because the United States has always been considered a place where more than any other, if you dream big and work hard, what you can achieve is unmatched. Now, there certainly has been a gap between that perception and the reality, but the notion of the American dream endures because so many do see their dreams come true. I certainly have. I was born in Sri Lanka in 1979. My parents were part of the ethnic and religious minority, and as the country was on the brink of civil war, my parents knew that they needed to seek refuge in any country that would receive us. At the time, the only country that would was Nigeria, because they were experiencing a teacher shortage, and so my parents, as educators, applied and got jobs. We had plane tickets in hand, our bags packed, ready to travel, when we learned that our visas to the United States came through just in time. My parents came here with no jobs, just $200 in their pockets, and 2 very young kids in their arms. My brother was 3, I was 9 months old. When we arrived, everything was new. A new country, a new language, a new culture, even new technology like elevators. Those first few days when my dad was supposed to be looking for a job, he would take a printed resume to the World Trade Center, and instead of actually searching, he would take the elevators up and down, because to him, it felt like a roller coaster. Talk about cheap thrills, right? When my father finally landed a job as a Baltimore City public school teacher, it was the school system that adopted us. The superintendent found the basement apartment that we moved into. The vice principal vouched for my parents, so they started a bank account. Neighbors babysat us as my mom looked for a job. Churches and temples donated winter clothes to a family that had never seen a flake of snow. My parents became lifelong educators, and it was that warm welcome that paved the path for me to Yale, Oxford, and the White House. And today, I get to pay it forward as the head of Global Refuge, the largest faith-based nonprofit dedicated to serving children, refugees, and other immigrants. What immigrants contribute to our country never used to be up for debate. But even superpowers can be diminished. Think Lex Luthor and kryptonite. Our kryptonite today is the politicization of immigration. You've seen it. You've heard it. Immigrants are stealing our jobs. Immigrants are perpetrating crimes. Immigrants are fueling the opioid epidemic. These days, you'd be hard-pressed to find an issue that immigrants aren't being blamed for. It feels like we're one news cycle away from blaming immigrants for bad Wi-Fi, Monday mornings, and that one sock that always seems to disappear in the dryer. But turn off the TV. Tune out social media. What do you see? I see immigrants starting restaurants to serve their neighbors. I see immigrants taking care of our parents at assisted living facilities. I see immigrants becoming doctors, drivers, small business owners, construction workers, and community leaders. I see inventors. If you're carrying an iPhone, thank the son of a Syrian immigrant. If you use Zoom for a meeting this week, thank a Chinese immigrant. If you like hamburgers, blue jeans, basketball, Old Bay seasoning, in my view, Baltimore's greatest contribution to the world, thank first and second generation immigrants. These kinds of contributions have always been a part of our superpower. When the US was recovering after the First World War, it was immigrant labor that put the roar in the roaring 20s, with first and second generation immigrants making up more than half of manufacturing labor. When the US was staring down the barrel of a broken economy in the 1970s and early 80s, it was President Reagan who saw the value of immigration, welcoming 600,000 refugees and legalizing 2.8 million undocumented workers, more than any other president. And more recently, during the COVID crisis, immigrants played an outsized role sourcing our food, taking care of our patients, packaging and shipping essential items as so many had to stay home. Now, this is not to downplay the role of native-born Americans during these key moments in our history. It's to highlight how immigrants throughout our history have played a pivotal role in how we became the greatest nation in the world. But now, we're at an inflection point, and we face imminent crises. America has an aging population and the lowest birth rate since the census started tracking. We have over $35 trillion in federal debt. And we face a climate crisis that is estimated to cost us tens of trillions of dollars per year over the next couple decades. We need every tool in our toolkit to combat these challenges. That means we need our superpower. We need a robust and effective immigration system that admits those who want a legal pathway to come here and contribute. Immigration is central to a future in which we can take care of our kids and our parents, keep Medicare and Social Security afloat, and bring talent to the climate and AI startups that are going to make all the difference. But whether we choose to harness that superpower is in part up to you and me and everyone else in this country. I was lucky enough to grow up with two enterprising, brilliant parents. They made a difference in the lives of the children they taught and the neighbors they met. Immigrants like my parents are not something other. There are teachers and engineers. There are electricians and artists. For many of us, there are ancestors. Irish Catholics like my husband's family who came here and fought in the Civil War. Chinese laborers who built the railroads that we still rely on today. Construction workers who kiss their kids goodnight and then repair our roads at 1 a.m. So, it's on us to decide our future. My daughters' lives will be easier because my parents' lives were hard. To me, that is the American dream. But that dream, that superpower, can be weakened. And if we succumb to our kryptonite, the politicization of immigration, not only do we lose a gift, we lose something that makes us, us. We welcome immigrants, not because they are Americans, but because we are Americans. That's who we are. And that's our superpower.